Hey Living Kids, I'm so excited to be back with you today. We have another song we're going to be doing together. It's one of my personal favorites, Jesus, What a Friend. So why don't you guys stand up with me and let's dance.
You're not an alien, you're not from Krypton, you're not a figment of my imagination, You're not a fairy tale, you're not make-believe, you came from heaven to be the friend that I can always count on, Hear me shout it out! Jesus is better than any superhero. Jesus is my best friend, whoa, whoa. Jesus is better than any superhero. Jesus is my best friend, whoa, whoa. You are the hero, you are the good guy, you are the savior, and I know that you're always gonna be there. Yeah, you're always gonna be there. When I'm in danger, when I'm in trouble, when I'm surrounded, well I know that it's you that I can count on, that I can always count on. Hear me shout it out! Jesus is better than any superhero.
church mother in they church hat clap. Man, that sure gave her color purple coming back clap. When that whole week beat you up and stress you, but you hear that organ playing and remind you of your blessings. And on another note, she just hit another note. Chills down my spine, got me crying, make me overload. You don't know about it though. Old school church hymns, deacons get the humming, now the drummer finna burst in. Lordy, Lordy, Lord. Can you hear me now? Church close, sweater, you don't care, you just get it now. Testify how we made martyrs out of these fathers and rose up all of his daughters to glorify him with honor. Man, I swear Thomas Jones with her head did. Now it's flying everywhere, she don't care what her head did. She an egg, yeah, caught up in the egg, yeah. Probably why she clapping like Jesus just reappeared, yeah.
Give me that God Almighty, that good old Bible, that old school doctrine. Give me that truth for the body, ain't nothing new about it, but it's still full of power.
Church clap, let me hear the church clap. 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 I wanna be the type of dude to get the Lord on his feet. I wanna do the type of shows that the Lord wanna see. What I mean, if I can make the whole church clap, it ain't a clap in the heavens, then that clap's just a clap, clap. For his son glorified, sin mortified. The Holy Spirit going word, that truth ain't watered down. It's sound doctrine, gets birthed in the common. Nothing wrong with singing loud, but that ain't where the power's found. The church has been clapping their weak sermons, leaving the weak hurt. No one's changed by Sunday service. We need discernment, check what you be affirming, cause the church can be full of members but empty in conversions. Preach the gospel and stand back, look for changed lives, not for hand claps. Love people well, oh they can't stand at the church, just the church with the words where we stand at.
Give me that God Almighty, that good old Bible, that old school doctrine. Give me that truth for the body, ain't nothing new about it, but it's still full of power.
Church clap, let me hear the church clap. 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 Come on.
It's time for a Bible story. This story begins with a group of people called the Israelites.
I've heard of those guys before. They were the ones that were like slaves in Egypt, and then that one guy was like, let them go. And then the other guy was like, no way, bro. And then God was like, fine then, do the big splash wave, son. Judged and rescued.
Close enough. The Israelites were rescued by God from being slaves in Egypt. God has done so much for us when we didn't even deserve any of it. So all we can do is be grateful and continually say, thank you.
Ah, you're welcome, man.
Wait, no, I was saying, like, thank you to God.
Oh, right. My bad. Just a reflex. Hashtag manners.
No worries. So remember, God has done so much for us, and we always want to make sure that we stay grateful and thankful for how much He loves us. The end.
So yeah, we're reading about Moses. It's going to be great. You know, he was a great leader that God sent to free the Israelites, right? The Israelites from the mean, angry Pharaoh people they were not being very nice with them.
They used to be slaves, but then they were like Israelites again.
And so this picture shows, looks like it's Moses with his staff, and he's leading the who?
Israelites.
Yeah, that's right. He's leading the Israelites out of Egypt. So during the day, God went ahead of them in a pillar of cloud. During the night, God went ahead of them in a pillar of fire. God led the Israelites to the edge of the Red Sea. But Pharaoh and his army were close behind.
What?
They were stressing out. They were close behind. So here's the bad guys chasing the Israelites that are right up to the Red Sea. So they're kind of in between a rock and a hard spot. Huh?
I might have been wrong. Right
About what?
at the left, at that page.
Uh-huh.
Might have been wrong.
Well, maybe, but I think this is a cool picture because it shows the bad guys on the chase, chasing down the Israelites. The Israelites get to the edge of the Red Sea, and then they're like, oh no, what do we do now? We're up against the Red Sea, and we've got the bad guys on our heels. So the Israelites, they didn't know what to do, did they? They didn't know what to do. So they all screamed. They said, we are trapped. What have you done to us, Moses? Moses said, do not be afraid. God will protect us. God's cloud came between the Israelites and Pharaoh's army, and they couldn't see anything. See, this is a picture of them being trapped up in the cloud that God made, so that way the Israelites were, I guess, sheltered a little bit so that the bad guys didn't know where they were because they were all caught up in the cloud of dust. Ooh, this is the good part, guys. God told Moses, raise your staff over the sea. Then the Lord pushed back the sea to make a path. Moses and the Israelites followed that path through the sea to the other side of it. Yeah.
Sharks were in there.
There were sharks in there. There were fish in there. There may have been, I don't know, probably some sort of stingrays. What this tells me is that God made a way when there seemed to be no other way out of the situation, didn't He? I mean, these guys, Israelites, were stuck. They were stuck between the enemy that were coming in on them and stuck between the Red Sea. They didn't have anywhere to go, guys, did they? So what did God do? He made a way when there seemed to be no other way. So Moses raises his staff again, and the sea swept away Pharaoh and his army. Can you believe that? So Moses, they get to the other side.
Oh, I know. The bad guys drowned.
Yeah.
And the only thing that was left was their swords.
What's really cool about this is that God led the Israelites and Moses out of a really tricky situation. He literally parted the seawater so that way they can walk through it, and then Moses raised his staff again, and the waters closed up on the enemy and knocked them all out of commission, right? They knocked them out. And then all they had left was their swords and shields, huh? So, after they got done getting through the Red Sea, Moses raised his staff again and closed the waters just in time for the bad guys to be swallowed up by the sea. And so what's cool about this is that the sea swallowed up the enemy, which then made the Israelites no longer slaves anymore. So they sang praises to God. They were free. They were not slaves to the enemy anymore. God set them free. Isn't that really cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great story about Moses and the Israelites and how God saved them from the enemy. Right? Guys, thank you so much for reading this story about Moses today. Wasn't it fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really great.
This is Moses, who was an Israelite born in Egypt in a time when Israelite boys were not supposed to live.
Wait, huh?
Moses, however, grew up in the palace of the Pharaoh, the very man who was enslaving the Israelite people. When Moses grew up, he made a big mistake.
Uh-oh.
So Moses ran away from Egypt
Wow!
to the land of Midian. After many years, an angel of the Lord appeared to Moses and told him to go back to Egypt to free the Israelites. After much protesting, God granted Moses his brother Aaron to speak on his behalf.
Phew.
So Moses went to Egypt.
Here, move there.
And on his way there, he met Aaron, who was ready to do whatever God wanted him to do. The Israelites were slaves to the Egyptians, but God had a special plan for Moses.
Hey, everyone, up. Huh?
After rallying God's people to them,
Yeah.
Moses and Aaron went to the Pharaoh.
Ahem.
And said, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, has said. Let my people go."
Shit.
And Pharaoh made the Israelites work harder because of this.
Hey, where are you? Huh?
The foremen of the Israelite slaves were angry with Moses and Aaron for causing this trouble.
Huh?
So Moses cried out to God and asked why this was happening. But God said, "You will see what I will do. I am the Lord. I will deliver you from slavery."
Wow, okay. Hey,
Moses told this to the people,
hey.
but they were so discouraged that they didn't listen to him.
Yeah, whatever.
God told Moses to go to Pharaoh and to do exactly as he said. So Moses and Aaron went to the Pharaoh.
Hey.
God told them to take the staff and throw it down before Pharaoh.
Huh?
Pharaoh was not impressed. He called his wise men and sorcerers, and they did the same thing.
Hooga, hooga.
But Aaron's staff swallowed up the sorcerer's staff. Yet Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he would not listen to them,
Shoot, shoot.
just as God had said. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go to the banks of the Nile River and meet Pharaoh."
Hey, Pharaoh. Oh, man.
Moses and Aaron did just as God had said.
Oh.
But again, Pharaoh's magicians did the same miracle, and Pharaoh refused to let God's people go. So God sent 9 more plagues to Egypt to show his power. Even with all the suffering, Pharaoh's heart stayed hard, and he would not let the people go. On the night of the last plague, Pharaoh woke up and heard a great cry in Egypt,
Oh, no.
for there was not a house in Egypt where someone was not dead. Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and told him to be gone with the Israelites. So the Israelites left Egypt immediately and made their way to the Promised Land, taking with them many riches from Egypt, and they took Joseph's bones as they had promised him many years before. But after they had gone, Pharaoh changed his mind and readied his army to take back the Israelites. When the Israelites saw Pharaoh and his armies come, they were terrified. But God made a way for them. Through all of this, the Israelites saw the great power of their God, the one true God, and they put their trust in Moses, his servant.
Oh, hey! What's up, Lily? I'm Mo. How you doing today?
Good.
What you up to?
I'm just sitting here.
Well, you're just sitting there. Well then, would you like to learn the memory verse with me today?
Sure.
Sure! Great! It's found in the book of Romans. Can you say Romans?
Romans.
Yeah! Romans is a book in the New Testament. And today, we're gonna learn the verse in Romans 8:28. Can you repeat after me? Romans 8:28.
Romans 8:28.
That's great! The verse is, all things work together for good to them that love God. Now I know that's kind of a mouthful, but what it means is God works things for our good when we love Him. That's pretty awesome, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's learn the memory verse together. You ready?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
Get excited. Are you excited?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
Are you excited at home? Lily, do you think the kids at home are excited to learn the memory verse?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Say it with Lily and me. All things
All things
work together
work together
for good
for good
to them
to them
that love
that love
God.
God.
Romans
Romans
8:28.
8:28.
All right. That's awesome. How about this time we sing it together? That'll help us memorize it. Are you ready? Are you ready, kids at home? Are you ready, Lily?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. You don't gotta sing good, because guess what? I don't sing good. But that's okay. God knows my heart. He knows your heart too. And I think you sing really, really good. So you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. All things
All things
work together
work together
for good
for good
to them that love God. Hold it out there. God. Okay. Romans 8:28.
Romans 8:28.
All right, that was pretty good. Okay, what if we whisper it? Ready? All things work together for the good to them that love God. Romans 8:28. Okay, how about this time? What if we shout it? Because God's word is good. So let's shout his word together. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. All things
All things
work together
work together
for good
for good
to them
to them
that love
that love
God.
God.
Romans
Romans
8:28.
8:28.
Wow! You guys are doing a great job learning the scripture, learning God's word. I'm so glad we get to learn the verse together, aren't you?
Yeah.
You think they know it now?
Maybe.
Maybe? How about on the count of 3, we say it together? You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. You ready, kids at home? Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All things work together for good to them that love God. Romans 8:28. Yeah! I love God, don't you?
Yeah.
Me too. He's so good. Hey kids, thanks for learning the memory verse with us today. All right, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye!
So here's where we are in the story. The Israelites had been slaves for years and years, and they wanted out. So they cried out to God, "Rescue us!" But Pharaoh wouldn't let them go. No. So God sent some trouble to Pharaoh. First, God turned the Egyptians' river to blood, but that didn't work on Pharaoh. No. Then he made frogs invade Egypt. There were frogs everywhere. No. Then God sent zillions of gnats and flies, but still Pharaoh wouldn't let the Israelites go. No. So God decided to punish Pharaoh more. He sent sickness and horrible boils to appear on people's skin. No! But still Pharaoh didn't obey. So God sent hailstones, that's pieces of ice, falling from the sky. Next, he sent a swarm of locusts. Now those were like the flies and gnats, only these guys ate all the food in Egypt. And still Pharaoh said, nah. Next was complete darkness. No light. And finally God told Pharaoh that if he didn't obey and let the Israelites go, all of the firstborn in Egypt would die. Unless lamb's blood had been painted on the family's doorpost. That did it. When Pharaoh's son died because Pharaoh didn't obey, the leader finally said to the Israelites, "Go." So that very night, the Israelites left. They didn't know which way to go or where they were headed, but God had promised them something. He said, "I will show you a new way, a new land, and a new home." So, to help them out, God sent a huge cloud for the Israelites to follow. A cloud and a pillar of smoke stretched up to the sky. During the day, the cloud shaded them from the heat in the desert, and at night it glowed with warmth to keep them safe and warm while they slept. When it was time to move, the cloud moved in front of them. And when it was time to rest, the cloud stopped. The Israelites walked and walked and walked until God led his people through the desert to the edge of a great sea. They were wondering, how will we cross the water? When suddenly they heard the sound of thundering and pounding It sounded like horse hooves. Pharaoh had changed his mind again. He wanted the Israelites back, and now Pharaoh's army was chasing after the Israelites. The Israelites didn't know what to do. They were stuck with a giant sea in front of them and an army behind them, and it was coming fast. They panicked. The water was too deep to walk through and too far and long to swim through. They didn't have boats or horses, and the soldiers were getting closer and closer and closer. But Moses told them, "God will make a way for us to escape." And then something strange happened, something they had never seen before. The cloud moved behind the people and hid them from the Egyptians. God told Moses to raise his hands and his staff, and God sent a strong wind to blow on the water. The wind blew all night long. It blew some of the water to the left and some to the right until there were two towering walls of water, and right in the middle was dry land. The Israelites took a step, and another step, and another step, until all of the Israelites had walked right through, right where all those enormous waves had been. God had rescued the Israelites again, and it wouldn't be the last time he did that. God would save them again, once and for all. But that comes later.
Hi guys, today we're going to do a craft. All you need is some colored markers, some colored strips of paper, whatever colors you want, some glue, some rocks, some glitter, whatever you have, some scissors, some food coloring, and a water bottle. You can even use stickers if you want, whatever you want to do with yours. Let's get started.
Okay guys, so we're gonna make a craft today to go along with the story we just read. We just heard about Moses, and we talked about how God split the Red Sea, and so we're gonna take that as an example and make a craft. We're gonna make the sea. So we're gonna use our bottle of water and pretend this is the sea. So we're gonna make sure we add things to it. Now, if you want to, we're gonna add things like fish. Now I've drawn some fish on a piece of paper for my little guy because he can't draw just yet, but he can color and cut things out. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna add food coloring to this first, all right? Lily, will you grab the food coloring? Now sometimes if the bottle's too full, you can take a little sip, right, of that. But we're gonna add probably 3 drops of blue.
Let's start with 1 drop.
We're gonna start with 1 drop, okay? And you can make it as dark as you want. Right now, ours is kind of light, so we're gonna keep adding blue to it because we're making the sea, the ocean. So however you picture it being, then you can keep adding. It does, it makes a really cool splash as it goes down. I think you can put like 2 more drops so it can be dark and bold. It looks so cool when it's going down in there. I love it. Now we can close it and shake it a little so we can see what color it actually is gonna be.
Cool.
You love it, huh?
Yeah.
This is the part where we can add things on it. We went outside and found some rocks that are just small enough to go in here so we can make our ocean look more real.
Yeah.
Like Lily said earlier, that you can add glitter or dirt, anything really that you want in what you think your ocean would look like. So Lily, why don't you go ahead and put those rocks in there? You can see them sink to the bottom. It's so cool.
Whoa.
I love it.
It's going on the edges when I put it in there.
Yeah.
It's like a little magnet.
Sometimes if the rock's too big or the object's too big, it won't fit. So you can put that aside and try something else.
Is that all?
I think that's good, so we don't get it too full to the top. Yeah. All right. And then we can put our lid on it real tight because you don't want food coloring to spill all over the place, right? And if you have stickers, you can put stickers on there and decorate your bottle.
Cool.
I have drawn some that we're gonna cut out and color and put on there. So we have an octopus that I drew. We have a fish that looks like a goldfish. We have a stingray, a starfish,
A shark.
and a shark. Yeah. And you can use colors. Like for me, I want to add some waves to the bottom to ours.
And like I said, you can also use stickers if you want.
That's true.
We're gonna glue it on there. You can even make a sun and some waves if you want. Let's glue it together. Now that we're done, we're gonna close our glue, and then we're done.
Yes.
You can also add some other stuff if you want.
I love it.
Me too.
We want to see what you made. So post pictures in the comments or show us what you made.